Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. If you're here, then you've already heard the news. I took Gladiator Beast where they've never gone before. I took them to 4th place at YCS Indy. Nearly 200 players. I'm a little iffy on the numbers. I don't really know what they were. They announced 197 at the beginning. I know at least one, maybe two players joined late that got round 1 losses. So maybe it's as high as 200. But I've also heard it was lower than 180 after like the second or third round. So I don't know what the official numbers are for the count. I'm just going to say 200 because it sounds better. And they told me, Paul, don't do it. Don't play Gladiator Beast. No one's ever played Gladiator Beast. It's not worth it. And I told them, if anyone can take Gladiator Beast, I can take Gladiator Beast. So I chose Gladiator Beast. And let this be a message to everyone who's ever downplayed Gladiator Beast. All of you YouTubers who like to think you're so smart and so sweet, giving Gladiator Beast its own tier on YouTube for being Gladiator Beast tier. Well, guess what? It's a real deck. It's a real good deck. Let's go ahead and start with the profile. I had to record separately and then download the recording on my computer. My OBS is not really accepting my camera, so it's definitely coming off a little bit odd. But what I want to do for this video is go over the deck list very fast. It's out there. You'll find it. And then go over some of my matchups I had throughout the day, and then a little bit of some of the things I noticed throughout the day and why I chose certain card choices. I did want to save that for my video. So let's go ahead and hit play on this, and it should start playing over here. That's not good. Let's try this again. Apologies. I don't know how to cut stuff out. I don't know how to make better videos. So we're just going to go with it. It's working. Okay, so to start off, we have 3 test tigers. Again, I had to record the video and then this kind of a speak over the video. 3 test tigers, a 3 Liquori, 2 Liquori. I played 2 Liquori, 2 Rediari. So I stopped here for a little bit. Rediari was without a doubt the best Gladiator Beast throughout the day. 2 Equesti, who was, I guess, the second best Gladiator Beast. I don't know if there's really a second best after how good Rediari was. 1 Darius. Should just be 2 Sam Knight and then 1 Darius, but it is 1 Darius, 2 Sam Knight. I did play 2 Sam Knight, and I took 1 Sam Knight out once, and then I regretted it because I did draw the Rescue Cat, and the first Sam Knight was gone. 1 Bestiari, 1 Romillo, 1 Secutor. Secutor popped off all day. I'm telling you guys, Secutor is without a doubt the best monster all day. Some people, like I, Gyzaris'd him 2 or 3 times because of Secutor. It was insane. But then 1 Cat, 1 Spirit Reaper, 1 Sangan, and 1 Gores. Reaper was insane. I'll talk about that a little bit towards the end. I love Reaper. There it is, actually. Speaking of the devil. Speak of the Reaper, and he will appear. I play 4 spells. It's going to be 3 Book of Moon, 1 MST, as soon as they pop up there. Not much to say here. A lot of people will probably wonder why I didn't play Cold War and Shrink. I got that. Shrink was preferred the 41st card. I think Book of Moon here is infinitely more powerful than Shrink, and I don't think anyone's ever debated that for what their applications are. Tornado. 2 Bottomless. Very good card. 2 Deep Prison. Also a very good card. A card that I did have at 3 for a while. I did like it at 3, but honestly, no way I was going to drop it. That was too good. Too good, that was. 2 War Chariot, 2 Compulse. I don't know if the Compulse came up. Compulse might be something worth being to 1. I think you just have to keep 2 value, which is just like, just brazy, you know? Brazy. Brazy. It's brawled crazy. Brazy. And I think we have to go into the side here. 3D Crows, 2 Use. And the refred is, I had this feeling there's going to be a Dragon Turbo, Hero, and Valuto. Certainly there's a lot of Frog Hero. But the 3D Crows was, I just thought there was going to be some massive Dragon Turbo. Whether it was Dragon Turbo or Endless, I wanted 3D Kuro, that could also be certified the same. We have two Wabaku, kind of also hedging against a Dragon Turbo matchup. I think everything else in this kind of explanatory to this point. And which got sided in a lot because again my matchups were. We'll go over matchups after this. What I'll do after is I don't have anything to keep it on, just my face. That really lasts. Okay, because my computer's 7 years old and it can't really handle OBS running. So I plan to get a new computer at some point. They're just really expensive. Nothing to buy if it's not a computer. Is this showing my pixels? Why would you do that? There we go. So some of the matchups I had today. Let's go through matchups. Let me pull those up real quick. Round 1, I played against X-Saber. It was a new player. He wasn't bad at the game. He knew what he was doing, I guess, to an extent. But I guess he just, because he was so new, he'd actually just started playing Edison. He didn't really know what he didn't really know certain plays or anything. So specifically, he tried to trying to find my who I played against. I don't know. He tried to saber hole my Gladiator Beast that I summoned off Test Tiger after I'd already used a Test Tiger's effect. So it was like Test Tiger Tribute. He didn't saber hole at any of this point. Return Gladiator Beast. Then once he summoned a Gladiator Beast off the Test Tiger effect, then he tried to saber hole it. So, I had to correct him on that a little bit. And then game three, he actually got me. I had a face-up Spirit Reaper. He had a face-up Gladiator Beast and one back row with like 3 in hand. Those 3, however, ended up being a second Gladiator Beast, a Fault Troll, and a Brain Control. Luckily, I had a set Book of Moon. So I set my Spirit Reaper face down, and no matter what he could synchro into, they weren't going to be able to out the Spirit Reaper because he didn't have Brio access up to that point. So he couldn't do anything. And I was able to reverse Gyzaris the turn right after that, luckily. Following that, let me go ahead and X out this. So we'll make this a little bit bigger. Following that, nice. Cool. Following that, I played against Heroes. Frog Hero. And he bricked hard game 1. He opened with double Malicious, and I just got a second turn Gyzaris off. And then game 2, I forget what happened, but I also know for a fact that I got a second Gyzaris off real quick. And I got rid of that matchup really fast. Going into round 3, I believe this was the round I was against Diva Hero, which was also kind of a non-factor. And I don't really remember any of the matchups. No, round 3 was against Vasky. It was actually against Who Needs Meta. Cadigan was there on like a Vasky deck. I got a turn 1 Dust Shoot on him, game 1. And as soon as I saw Dandelion Vasky, and he had no other monsters, so all he could do was just set Fires of Doomsday, and then he saw my turn 2 Gladiator Beast, it was downhill for him. Game 2, he actually brain control my Gyzaris, sacked for Cyber Dragon, set 2, and I had in-face Call the Haunted. Bring back Gyzaris, get rid of both back rows, and then I top-decked Reaper. Again, so Reaper played a pretty significant role. I was already going to win that game, but Reaper played a pretty significant role in those first 2 matchups against the X-Saber and then the Vasky. And then round 3 was where I played a Diva Hero at this point. Or this would have been round 4, pardon me. Round 4, played against Diva Hero. This guy drove down for Canada, flew down, whatever he did, however he got here. Kind of just a back and forth game, normal Yu-Gi-Oh game. At some point, I just got the upper hand, and I don't really remember too much. Round 5. What was round 5? Round 5 was against Hero Beat, Diva Hero Beat. This was a tough one. We went all the way to game 3. And actually, during game 3, it ended up to a point where he just lost to what his deck normally loses to, which is not enough monsters. So, I think game 1, he opened up double Gilman. And I was able just to Ready Airy, banish all his Gilman, banish 1 Diva, and banish his Ocean. He couldn't get anything going. And I think I banished 2 Alias that game 2. Game 2, he just smoked me. Game 3, it was just like down to the wire, back and forth, one card for one card, and then he went like 4 turns without drawing a monster. And at some point, I was able to establish 2 Rediary and a Samurai on board, and all of them tacked while he's at 3,900, and then that was game. And then going into, that was round 5, going into round 6, at this round, I played against Who Needs Meta, the actual player, David. David? Yeah, David, who's playing a Machina Cat deck. Very innovative, something cool, something different. Or maybe I played him round 7. I'll pretend. No, I played him round 7. Round 6 was against another Frog Hero, who I don't think he had a whole lot of experience against Gladiator Beast, outside of just knowing Rediary banishes. It just banished his cards. He just kept summoning Substitute turn 1 every game. I think we only played 2 games. In both games, he went turn 1 Substitute, end of swap, put Treeborn's Grave, return swap the hand, and then just passed. And Rediary just took care of him really fast. Followed by that was, there we go, Who Needs Meta. Game 1, I got off a turn 1 trap dust shoot, sent back his best card, and he had like 5 monster hand. One of them was like, there's Plague, Caius, Machina Fortress, and he had Brain Control, but I was able to play around all of it because I had, trap dust shoot and everything else. I think he beat me game 2. I don't remember it. And then game 3, I also don't remember it, and I won. And then the last round, I was 7-0. I'm going against Blackwings, AJT, the really good GO player. And game 1, I think he actually trap dust shoot me, turn 1, game 1. Hit my only Gladiator Beast, left me with 2 Test Tigers, 2 Book of Moons, and a Torrent. Or maybe that might have been game 3, actually. It was game 3. Game 1, he got decked heavy. He decked heavy me because he main decked heavy game 1. Hit 3 cards. I just got a Sangan Search, hit a Rescue Cat, a Test Tiger, and like a Murmillo or something out of my hand. Left me with 4 cards. At some point, I was able to play back into the game, but it just wasn't enough to get over his a Sirocco that he had on board later on the game. Game 2, I got an early lead on him, and he just couldn't come back from it because I was able to establish a Herc with a Chariot that kind of locked down the field because I had Bestiary in hand with 3 other Gladiator Beast or 2 other or something. And then game 3, that's where he went and got an early dust shoot, sent back my 1 GB, left me with 2 Test Tigers, 2 Book of Moons, and something else. But he MST'd the something else. It was Torrent. And I set Torrent past. He MST'd that. At some point in the game, I drew Starlight Road, set 2 books and Starlight against his now 2 Shura. He heavy stormed, I Starlight, and then he also had a set oppression, was his 1 set card. So that was the game. So I ended up going 7-1 day 1 and did very well. And then going into top 8 for day 2, I played against a Machina Control deck again. Game 1, I don't remember game 1 even a little bit. Maybe I got another trap dust shoot, I'm not sure. Game 2, he won. I don't remember how. Again, I didn't take notes. I don't remember this stuff. The fact that I remember the matchups is amazing. Game 3, however, I opened up with Lakori. I set Solemn, set Starlight. I think in any matchup, this sounds like a terrific start. Sounds really good. However, all he has to do is summon Fortress, and I can't beat it because I had 4 monsters. But luckily, all he did was T-set, and I had a Bestiary in hand. So I go into Bestiary, pop his Mirror Force and a Raikou. Swing. Go out into a Lakori again, and then actually Secutor, just on the off chance I get off Secutor again the next turn. He T-sets again. I had Prisma in hand, so I summon Prisma, use it to send Bestie, fuse Prisma, Lakori, blow up his 2 again. It was D-Prison and Raikou. So now I have Gyzaris and Secutor. So at the end of the turn, with a Bestiary Grave, at the end of the turn, I think I had 4 or 5 cards in hand. The Solemn Starlight Road set, a Herc. I think I also went into two Rediary. I believe I had 2 Rediary at this point as well. Yeah, because I had 2 Rediary, Lakori, and a Questy to add that back. So I went and had Rediary and Herc. By the end of the game, I think I had, it was like 1 more turn, and he actually had his 3rd set Raikou. So by the end of the turn, or the end of the game, I had 2 Lakori set Solemn, set Starlight, 2 Gyzaris, and Heraclinos. So it was nuts. And then I go into top 4 against Oscar Z, who has a YouTube channel, where you probably found my deck profile. And he got game 1 Trap Dust Shoot. Again, it's really amazing how you correlate. I open Trap Dust Shoot, I won the game. It's amazing. and he was able to see all my cards, and he beat me down. Game 2 was kind of back and forth. I got to a point where I had a Questy, Bottomless, and a Set War Chariot, and he actually only had 3 cards. And then his top deck was Cyber Dragon, which was really good for him. So I had the Bottomless Cyber Dragon, and then he had Greffer to discard his value. I think I was ahead in the game up to that point, but once he was able to get that Cyber Dragon and get like multiple summons against me, I couldn't play back into the game. So I lost in top 4 there. So I'm now playing for fourth place against Dimitri, who is a very powerful online player. So let me tell you about the top 4. It was 2 YCS champs, being Frazier on Frogs, Oscar on Value Turbo, who both are YCS champs, and then there was Dimitri, who is one of the most powerful online players of all time, and then me on Gladiator B. So what have I done? Why am I here, right? I was definitely that guy out. But I'm playing against Dimitri. You would think, wow, this is a great matchup, and I don't totally disagree. I think Frogs has a very strong early game, where Gladiator Beast has a pretty... It's a shaky early game for sure. That if I'm not able to establish early control with 1 or 2 Gladiator Beast, it goes downhill real quick, and usually is done by turn 1. Stratos preventing me from doing anything, and that's what happened. He went first, and he got Stratos turn 1. My opening hand, game 1, was potentially the worst opening hand you could have, going second, or just in general against the Frog matchup. That's okay. That's why we side. My opening hand was 4 monsters. Compulse, not good against Frogs. Dust Tornado, not great against Frogs. Neither of them are very good. So I set a monster. I forget. I think it was Gladiator Beast. I'm not real sure. But he was able to, and then I set Compulse. He's able to bring back his Treeborn. No, he's not. He discarded a Treeborn to special summon swap, sacked the swap for Caius, banished my Frog, swung with both, and I just lost. I think I might have compulsed on my monster to try to go ahead and keep it for another turn, but then I drew maybe Bottomless or something that wasn't particularly great. I lost game 1, and then game 2, I'm going first. I'm stacked, I'm ready. 5 monsters and a Bottomless. Those 5 monsters are both Rediary. Unfortunate. So 2 Rediary, a Laquari, my Bestiary, my Darius. So I can't even set Bestiary because I only play 1 Darius. I can't set Bestiary, let it get destroyed, and then try to set up a Gazaris play with Darius later on. And then Bottomless. And he had a Nobleman of Extermination for the Bottomless. And I just, ugh. So Dimitri got me. He got me good. Those were matchups. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things I saw in top 8. I don't think, not even just top 8. It probably started around round 6. I'll say round 6, 7, and 8. I sat next to Dimitri almost the entire day. I think we were right next to each other almost at least 3 or 4 matches throughout the day before we played each other, before we even got the top cut. And I was able to watch him play a lot. And he is a superb player, first off. But I want to talk about the skill gap that exists between just like the normal player to these players who are topping the YCSs, who are winning, who are doing all these cool things. Like it's unimaginable. In order to get better at Edison, you can't just keep playing and think you'll magically get better. I'm a firm believer you have to watch better players play against better players, watch what they do, see how they open up lines, and see how they make plays that you probably would have never seen. I guarantee the majority of Edison players, or Frog players in general, would not have seen the lines that I saw Dimitri make. There was one game he was playing against my buddy who was playing Chain Burn, and I saw him use like Swap Frog's effect what seemed like 5 times to end on a board of 3 swaps, and then somehow still be able to summon Junk Synchro into a Junk Warrior and attack for game that turn because of it. So it's very hard for me to explain, but if you're in the realm of wanting to become like a YCS or a Ribbit Topper or whatever, you must understand that the level between just like the average player and then these players who keep topping, because it's the same players, right? We need to acknowledge it's like the same names who top almost every single event. They just keep doing it over and over and over. Um, it's two things. One, they're skillful. They understand their matchups, they understand their decks. And there's a lot into that to include understanding the combos. A lot of players think Frogs is easy. I think Frogs is easy to play badly. Frogs can be very difficult to play very well. Very different things, right? So you may go to your locals and win with Frogs, uh, but it's very different than going to, what was this, 12 rounds by the time you make it to top cut, after top 8, top 4, and then going into that final match or final round, 12 rounds. Very different to make it to that 1, 2, 3, 4 spot after playing 12 rounds and just understanding how to play your deck and then how your deck needs to play against other stuff. And when you look at Dimitri's list, it was just teched out. It was teched out for his card choices, some of the main deck choices, and then some of the side deck choices too. Very, very teched options. So I highly recommend go look at replays. Um, if you do have one of these like well-known topping great players at your locals, play them, talk to them, get to know them. Because if your goal is to be like a top tier Edison player or something, you got to play against the top tier players because you have to play like a top tier player. And then the second thing is going to be luck. Man, I don't think anyone can overestimate how much luck plays into getting into these top events. When I tell you I got lucky, yeah, sure, I may have made some good reads. I may have had some luck with Secutor getting some good pushes or whatever it was. But the fact that I didn't see any Starlight Roads, very few Solemns, very few Brain Controls, summoned Dark Arm Dragon against me maybe one time because of the matchups, and I had the War Chariot for it. I saw maybe, what was it, like 2 Caius all day, and that wasn't until like the top, or until my final 4 match. Trap Dust Shoot, again, very few times that I ever get hit with Trap Dust Shoot. It just didn't come up a whole lot. And I say this not to disparage anyone who does make these top cuts, but if you ask anyone who tops, and I think I've seen Fraser Smith talk about it an awful lot, you have to be lucky. And the amount of luck that you have to have is uh, it's undescribable. The amount of luck that you have to have as a player to make it through all these rounds to go all the way. And anyone who's watching, I don't know if you were able to see it on the stream, but like when Fraser won, he exploded with joy is the only way I could possibly describe it because, well, yeah, he just won a very major event, and got like a sweet prize. But I think it's because he also understood the amount of luck. Yeah, a huge amount of skill, but to keep doing it over and over and over repetitively, you need the skill. To have the opportunity to do it over and over and again, you have to have the luck to just know that they're not going to open up Dust Shoot, Solemn, Brain Control, like all the one-ups that you know you never want to see. I cannot understate enough or overstate enough how much luck played into it. And I saw a quote, someone put it in one of the Discord chats, something along the lines of, when luck meets skill, that's when you make opportunities, or something cheesy. Sure, yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. But I just wanted to talk about those two things. One, the top players, they're much better than you think they are. And two, they're also much luckier than you think they are. They truly are. Um, but yeah, I met a lot of good people. Like I said, met Dimitri, re-met a lot of guys that played down in Kentucky, where Dimitri plays. So awesome to see them again. Awesome to see some people from my own locals that I didn't know were going to be there. Met Rob the Man. Way too handsome to be playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Rob, what are you doing? Come on. And then, I don't know if I met anyone else off the top of my head. Oh, who needs meta? Duh. You know, I played against them. I actually met up with them in the line before the event. I just happened to stand right in front of them. I heard David's voice, and he has a very, very distinct voice. I turned around, I was like, "You're Who Needs Meta?" He said, "Yeah, that's me." Who would have guessed I would play both him and Cadigan throughout the event? So cool dudes, very unique decks. They definitely showed up with some spice. And David ended up getting 16th place with a very pretty unique deck. What else? I guess I'll go a little bit into the deck. So into the side deck, you saw Triple Crow. And I kind of mentioned it. What I was expecting for this event was a significant amount of Dragon Turbo, Amaryllis, because those two decks just seem to, online at least, seem to have been very hot over the past couple of months, I guess. Amaryllis specifically, or just anything really plant-based. I was kind of expecting something pretty significant with plants. Value Turbo because it's just Value Turbo. And then what I wasn't expecting was Hero Beat and Black Wings. Not because they're bad or anything, mostly because they're just boring. I think a lot of people are kind of ready to move on to something a little bit different, whether it is the decks I just mentioned. That's what I thought was going to happen. Turns out I was kind of right, kind of wrong. Tremendous amount of Hero Frogs. I didn't mention that, but it was like the fourth deck I was thinking of. And I think a pretty good amount of value, but there's actually just a lot of Machina. I think people are kind of on a Machina train right now. At one point, around 6 or 7, there was, I think, 4 Machina decks at like the top 8 spots. So like I'm surprised only one deck actually made it. So they must have had a run of bad luck there for the last 2 rounds. But no, I was kind of expecting Black Wings and Hero Beat to kind of take a backseat. So, I thought Gladiator Beast won. I've been playing the deck since February, pretty hardcore, and I've been doing very well at in real life events and just doing like online duels against some people I'm in a group with online, and I've just been doing very, very well. So I was very confident with the deck. I was very confident with the combos, very confident with the matchups. It was the side deck I was having a problem with. My gut feeling today was going to tell me those 4 decks were in. So I sided the 3 crows, mainly because if Dragon Turbo goes first, I want the crow. It's also searched by Sangan, so I chose that. Retrospectively, obviously, I could have dropped it down. I think 1 crow still would have been pretty good. Even 2 crow, I did find myself siding in 1 or 2 crows in my Frog Hero matchups. I ended up playing it 3 times today. Like I mentioned, 3 times? Yeah. So round 2, round 6, and then against Dimitri. And I ended up siding in the crows. So they did come in handy. I don't think I actually drew them or got to use them. The Wabakus, same reason. Just in case Dragon Turbo popped up, something that I just chained to a Heavy Storm, Rio, whatever it is. And then nothing else really came up. I sided in the Cyber Dragon, obviously against the Machina player, didn't draw it. War Chariots, I sided in the third War Chariot a lot. I did side in Torrent a lot. I don't think Torrent really came up. And then I never drew into the Ancient Forest. So I don't think my side deck actually played a super significant role today. It was there, but I don't, the cards that I sided in, I really didn't use them that much. I sided in Torrents a lot, but I only drew it a few times, and I think it actually got MST'd once or twice. I think I only got off once throughout the day. So it wasn't very significant. And then obviously the main deck cards that people would want to know about are the Reaper, the Sangan, the Gores. I think those are probably just like really the 3 cards. And this is probably the last thing that I can talk about. People want to know my side strategies. Honestly, it's not even worth talking about. I thought about it, but it's like I only put in 3 to 4 cards, depending on the matchup, whatever it might be. So if there's frogs, 2, not 2, 5, 2, crow, torrent, and chariot, right? If it's against Hero Beat, I put in Hopalomus, Cyber Dragon, and what was it? My Body is a Shield, right? And then Black Wings, I got Torrent, regular Trap Hole, My Body is a Shield. And if I'm feeling spicy, I'll put in the Hedge Guard. That's what Hedge Guard's for, right? So siding's not really worth talking about. If I went back and do it, I'd change the side deck. And I kind of just thought about that. It's not really worth discussing too much. But then the main deck, Reaper. I want to start with Reaper because a lot of people are going to say, why do you play Reaper? I think Reaper is wholly unexplored in Edison. It is odd to me that decks like Value Turbo or Diva Hero will play it, and they'll talk about how great it is, and then no other deck will incorporate what is clearly a terrific card. The walling ability, 1 is good. So because I had the Reaper, I felt the need to not play Hopalomus. That's why I don't main deck it, because I do have the Reaper, and it can wall. There was never a time where I wanted more Reaper than what I had. There's never a time where I wanted to be Hopalomus instead. Only one time against Dimitri. If it were Hopalomus, would have been good. But if it were Hopalomus, I would have lost the very first round. So against X Sabers, like I said, the guy had Brain Control, 2 Sabers, Fault Troll, and I just had Reaper, and I won because it was Reaper. There are times where I just summon Reaper. It happened, I think, 2 or 3 times. I summon Reaper, and they would just say, what do I do? I have to use Torrent, I have to use Mirror Force, I have to do something, or I get the attack off and I get the discard. And I think I probably got 4 discards, which alone was enough. So Reaper, great card. If you've never tried it, try it. And not just in Gladiator Beast, try it in everything. Just try it out in everything. Sangan. I played 40 cards because I wanted to get to Rescue Cat as fast as possible. Sangan was my second Rescue Cat. It was my second bestiary. It was my fourth Test Tiger. Again, dead terrific. Is it a little bit slow in a deck that's already normal summer reliant? Yes. Do I have trouble getting rid of it if it does hit the field? I could. Is it just a big old Caius target? You bet it is. But it searches that Rescue Cat. I think at least twice did I summon Sangan, ran it into Raikou, get my Sangan search. There's a time where I summoned Gazaris, destroyed my own Sangan, search out Rescue Cat. It just comes up. If you just turn one, set it, and they attack over it with something that's not super powerful or kind of basically anything other than Titanial, you can just go get Rescue Cat, take Rescue Cat into Murmillo, and you're good. Right? So I also endorse Sangan. And then Gores didn't do anything. I don't even think I was able to summon Gores today. That being said, it wasn't negative. There was never a negative from Gores. I never sat down and thought, man, I wish this Gores was something else. And then Gores has done well enough for me over the past, I don't know, what is it, like 5 months, 4 months by now? That it's definitely, in my opinion, warranted its inclusion. Now, if I did change anything moving forward, it could potentially be Sangan over to a second copy of Prisma, but that would be probably the only change that I would make with the main deck, or with the monsters. If someone swapped out 3 Dust Tornado, which Dust Tornado was so good for me, I don't recommend it, try it, triple Dust Tornado, very good, but if they swapped out for like a Cold Wave or Heavy Storm, and then 2 Trap Stuns, or 2 Trap Stuns and Starlight Road, or whatever it might be, some kind of combination of something that's going to help alleviate back row resistance from the opponent, right? Something to